All right, we have already completed the rectangle portion of our area lab. We're going to go ahead and turn the page in that yellow packet so that we are now looking at parallelogram. And the first thing I want you to do is pause your video and go ahead and create another rectangle that is 8 by 6 here, just like you did on the first page. But do not glue it down yet. Once you have your rectangle that's 8 by 6, you're going to take a ruler or a really great alternative. I have a small ruler here. If you don't have a ruler, just use your school ID. That works just fine. Okay, just a straight edge is all you need. And what you're going to do is you're going to draw a straight line, and you're going to go from this corner, one corner, to the opposite base, so down to the bottom. And not from corner to corner, but just from the corner down to somewhere in the middle. It doesn't have to be exactly the middle. So here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to put it up here, and I'm going to draw a line from that corner down to here. So it looks like this. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is very carefully just cut along that line that I drew there. So now this is what I have. So now what we're going to do is create a parallelogram. So a parallelogram is very similar to a rectangle. It kind of looks like you just pushed it over. So it's going to have two parallel sides, two pairs of parallel sides, but they look a little slanted. And rectangles are forms of parallelograms too. But what we're going to do to create a parallelogram, here's my rectangle I started with, and I just cut that little piece off. I'm not going to get rid of that piece though. I'm going to just slide it over like this. Let me show you that again. So this piece was over here to make my rectangle. I cut that off, and I'm going to slide it over here. This, and then you're going to glue it down to form that parallelogram. Go ahead and pause and glue that shape down. All right, once you have your shape, your parallelogram glued down, go ahead and pause your video again, and I want you to estimate the number of unit squares in your parallelogram. So if I were to count all of my full squares and then kind of estimate with the little parts I see too, I'm going to get about 48 squares. And then what we're going to do next is look at our base and height. So here's the base of my parallelogram, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines going across. So that's 8 units on the bottom here. My base is 8 units. And then for my height, okay, so that's going up and down here from top to bottom. You can show your height on the inside like this. You could even show on the outside if I were to kind of draw a line here. This is another way I could show the height. Okay, either way, it's just from top to bottom or from here, top to bottom. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units there. So the height of my parallelogram is 6 units. So the next thing we're going to look at is how is this parallelogram size related to our rectangle size? Well, we have the same dimensions. We have the same base and we have the same height. Okay? We did not change the size of our rectangle. We changed the way it looks, but we didn't change the size. That piece we cut off, we just moved it over here. We didn't get rid of it. So again, we have the same size because we have the same dimensions, the same base and height. It's the same area because we didn't actually change the amount of squares or the amount of shapes. We just rearranged it by moving that one portion to the other side. We cut it off, but then we glued it back up there in a different shape. So in a mathematical equation, we're dealing with the same dimensions and we have the same amount of area. So really, we can find the area of this parallelogram the same way we do a rectangle. To find our area, we can just take the base and multiply by the height. So the area of a parallelogram is A equals BH, or base times height.